One minute, the next generation fighter of the U.S. Air Force is the best thing since sliced bread. And the next minute, it's an uncomfortable conversation. This could be a major sign that something's wrong with the NGAD fighter. And if something's wrong with the NGAD fighter, then the U.S. is in trouble. There's no other way to put it. The dominance of the U.S. is under threat. U.S. dominance under threat. Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD for short, is the name of the U.S. Air Force's program for the development of next-generation technologies that would ensure American dominance in the skies for decades to come. Ask about the NGAD program only a few months ago, and the positive responses about the program's potential would be all that rang out. The Air Force has spent billions of dollars on the program to ensure this is the case, to ensure that the program goes as planned. And progressive has it been indeed. In fact, the Air Force was expected to award a contract this year to either Boeing or Lockheed Martin to build at least 200 units of the fighter. But recently, all of this changed. The once unstoppable NGAD program isn't looking so unstoppable anymore. The biggest sign of this came on June 14th when the Air Force Chief of Staff Daniel Ulvin got very cagey about NGAD's future. According to the Chief of Staff, the Air Force was now, quote, looking at a lot of very difficult options that we have to consider. This is quite different from, the NGAD program is progressing well and preparing to put China in its place, which has been the general attitude over the last few years. In addition to his ominously vague comment, the Chief of Staff also stated that the service had found a different way to develop capabilities without a manned sixth-generation fighter, referring to the service's loyal wingmen. Employing loyal wingmen is no crime. They are quite capable. However, it does seem a little too late to be opting for a second option after spending a boatload of money on a first option, especially when this second option was initially planned as a supporting character to the first option. In the midst of all of these, it is important to remember that the Air Force, through the Chief of Staff or otherwise, hasn't explicitly stated that the NGAD program has been halted. This could mean the program is going smoothly, or they're not in the mood for some serious protests from the public, or something else. Whatever the reason, the NGAD program continues to take shape according to official documents. And it better be, because China isn't sounding pessimistic about its sixth-generation fighter at all. If anything, that fighter is ready to fly. Writing in The Diplomat, the Asia-Pacific Current Affairs magazine, longtime Chinese military observer Rick Zhou says it's generally accepted that demonstrator testbeds of China's sixth-generation fighter have been flown, and that some form of the plane is expected to emerge this decade. Zhou writes that one of the likely configurations of the plane would be a tailless flying wing airframe. Li Gong, the test pilot in the maiden flight of the J-20 stealth fighter, has also been quoted as saying the sixth-generation aircraft is expected to make its debut soon. Bold words by people who are likely to know a few things about the behind-the-scenes of the fighter's development. And their positive remarks give a respectable insight into just how far China has come along. China hasn't only come far in the timeline, but apparently also in capabilities. The country's new sixth-generation fighter is designed to be something for the U.S. to worry about. It will feature technologies that would enable it to contest the dominance of tomorrow's skies. Technologies such as stealth. China's sixth-generation fighter is expected to be designed with stealth as a core component. Its airframe would, like its preceding fifth-generation J-20 Mighty Dragon fighter, employ a holistic approach to reduce its radar cross-section. A chimed forebody, modified radar radome, and electroconductive canopy will use stealth shaping, yielding signature performance in a mature design. The diverterless supersonic inlets, which enable aircraft to reach Mach 2 with a simpler intake than traditionally required, and also improve stealth performance by eliminating radar reflections between the diverter and the aircraft's skin, should be present. Additional low observable features could include a flat fuselage bottom holding an internal weapons bay, sawtooth edges on compartment doors, mesh coverings on cooling ports at the base of the vertical tails, embedded antennas, and radar-absorbent coating materials. Engines. China is currently developing a brand new Super Cruise-capable power plant known as the Shan WS-15. It is slated to be the most advanced jet engine from the country yet, and it would make such a difference once introduced that the engines on the J-20 will be swapped out for the WS-15. However, should a delay occur, these engines currently on the J-20 would prove more than sufficient to power the 6th generation fighter. These engines are the Shenyang WS-10C. As China remains a big supporter of twin-engine aircraft, the 6th gen fighter could be fitted with 2 of these engines that each produce thrust up to 32,000 lbf and gift the J-20 a top speed of Mach 2, a service ceiling of 66,000 feet, and a maximum range of 3,400 miles. Armament. How much armament China's next-generation fighter will wield is anyone's guess, but it's sure to be far more than the J-20 does. Along with the short, medium, and long-range missiles that the J-20 carries, the 6th generation will likely wield a rotary cannon, which the J-20 lacks. The new fighter would also likely be fitted with laser-directed energy weapons as those continue to take shape. China's new fighter will be well-armed to handle threats and have a good chance at completing its mission, even if that mission includes destroying high-value airborne assets. Assets such as the US's NGAD fighter. What does the NGAD fighter respond with? Well, an impressive suite of capabilities of its own, including advanced stealth. The NGAD fighter will build on the stealth technologies of previous American aircraft, fighters, and bombers alike. Like the B-2 Spirit bomber, the stealthiest aircraft in service today, the NGAD fighter will take an overall triangular shape, internally hold its payload, and have no vertical stabilizers. It is the first fighter ever to have such a revolutionary design. Vertical stabilizers had always been required to keep an aircraft airborne until the concept of active flow control came to life in the B-2 Spirit. Active flow control uses computer brains on board to constantly adjust the flow around the aircraft to keep it airborne, similar to how birds fly. Open architecture. Decades of history have taught the U.S. that an aircraft will always have room to be better, no matter how advanced it already is, especially with near-peer adversaries becoming more near-peer by the day. Therefore, the NGAD fighter will come with an open architecture that enables the fighter to take on new upgrades easily and quickly. This way, the fighter will constantly adapt to newer challenges of the battlefield that are introduced by the advancements of opposing militaries. To put it simply, the 6th generation NGAD fighter can be upgraded to become the 7th generation NGAD fighter years after it's fielded. Maximum connectivity. To swiftly gather relevant information about its surroundings and act on that information, the NGAD fighter is slated to wield the most sensitive sensors ever installed on a fighter. The Air Force will do away with radars mounted on the aircraft for electronically configured smart skins integrated into the aircraft's fuselage to achieve this. Information acquired by these sensors will be made available to other members of the fleet, whether 6th generation or not, to keep the entire fleet of friendlies abreast of relevant information in real time. The Air Force fleet instantly becomes a tightly interconnected force in the sky, and it's all in large part thanks to the connectivity of its new fighter. New spectrum of weapons. The NGAD fighter will be armed to the teeth with weapons its immediate predecessor, the F-22 Raptor, wields, and more. Like the Raptor, the new fighter will wield missiles, bombs, and possibly a massive rotary cannon. Unlike the Raptor, however, the NGAD fighter could wield laser-directed energy weapons that take out threats with high-intensity laser beams. These come with an entire slew of advantages over legacy weapons. 1. Laser weapons have unlimited magazines as they can continue to fire for as long as they're connected to some power source. 2. They strike targets at a speed of 180,000 miles per second, the speed of light, the fastest thing in the universe. Targets would have to do the impossible to evade them. 3. Laser weapons are autonomous in operation as they execute the majority of their work without human intervention, meaning unending grilling of targets for however long they keep coming. It's important to note that the NGAD program isn't only about a 6th generation fighter. It is a compound program aimed at creating an entire suite of new technologies all working together towards the common goal of U.S. dominance in the skies. a suite of technologies all led by the manned 6th-generation NGAD fighter. The battle for air dominance between China and the United States rages on. As it does so does China amp up the pressure. The US, on the other hand, seems uncertain about its next steps. And in this rivalry, uncertainty could be fatal. To help the US get back on track and potentially save millions of lives, give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.